Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Mildred. And why are we here? Well, I thought I have a good idea. I have been software engineer for 5 years. I have been programming for like 13 years. And then recently, since we had all this AI boom, I've been able to do some very cool stuff with AI that I realized that if I didn't even know how to code, I would still be able to do. So I decided, well, I could teach people how to do this. And so, if you love to use AI to make your life easier, and there are certain things you want to do that involve a bit of coding, and you're a bit intimidated, not just because of the coding, but what do you do after you're done the coding? This is the channel for you. Anyway, this is my first video. So I want to keep it short and sweet, but we will see because these things never go that smoothly. We will find out anyway. So, what am I going to do today? Today, I'm going to show you how to publish a website for free, technically for free. But I'm going to show you how to publish a website. There will be some code involved, hence why I'm here. But do not be scared. Just go with me. We're going to make this as simple as possible. So, what is my idea? Well, you may be a content creator, you may be a business person, you have a huge following, or you have some kind of clientele, or users, or audience. You want to test a product, you want to create some match, or you have like a coaching program, you want to do some courses, and before you put the effort into it, you want to have some sort of wait list to see if people are actually interested. Like, you don't want to go make your match and then nobody buys it, you know. So you want some sort of waiting list. So today we're going to create a very simple waiting list website, and we're going to store all the emails we get in a Google spreadsheet, because we all know how to use spreadsheets, and spreadsheets are very easy to import into other software. So, if you want to do an email campaign or whatever you want to do, it's very easy to import a spreadsheet elsewhere. So, we don't want to deal with any technical databases that need more technical knowledge. We don't want to do that. So, what are we going to need for today? Well, first of all, you need your PC. Of course, you need a PC. You could try and do this on a phone, but I doubt it's going to. I doubt we're gonna get through it just because there is some coding involved. There is some online code editors that you could use, but I would suggest just do this on your PC, make your life easier. I am using a MacBook, but you can equally do this on a Windows machine or on a Linux machine. So today's AI of choice is Claude. The reason being that Claude is pretty good at coding and also very decent at design. So in this case, we're building a website, so we need the website to be designed beautifully. We don't want our website looking shady or cranky, or people see the website and they're like, no, I'm not putting my name on this website. So we want a very decent looking website, and that will be done with code. And Claude is pretty good at coding and also pretty decent at design. There are other AIs that are better than Claude in the design space. But to make life simple, we're starting fresh. This is a new day, a new dawn. Just simple. We want to do this, on a weekend, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, after lunch, project. So we're going to use just one AI, and that will be Claude. And then once we have built our website with Claude, we need to host it. We need to host it somewhere on the internet. And there are several hosting platforms, but we want to do this for free, or at least for free, relative as close to possible as to zero. So I am going to use Google Firebase. Now, I have used Firebase for a few projects, and I love Firebase. And I hope once you do this, you would also love Firebase. Firebase is a back-end as a service. So basically, it works like a back-end API for whatever it is software you're building or website you're building. And so you don't have to worry about all the details of backend engineering. You don't have to deal with it. You just have to learn how to use Firebase. And Firebase is pretty user friendly. So, and I will show you step by step. So you're gonna find out how easy it is. And then we're going to use a code editor because there will be some code involved. My favorite code editor is VS Code. You can use any code editor you want if you have others you've used, but if you're new to this, I would suggest you use VS Code. And I'm going to show you how to download all of this. So now let's kick it off. Let's start. So let's start with Google. Anyway, so bring up your browser and let's just search Claude, because we want to use Claude today. So you just search Claude and enter, and here you are. Oh, lovely, it signed me in already. Amazing. So now we're going to give Claude a prompt to help us build the software. We have to be a bit specific about our situation, that maybe we are not as technical, we are content creators, or we are a business owner. We don't know that much about coding. So we want the solution Claude gives us to be as simple as possible. So there are certain things we already know that we would like to host this website on Firebase. So that we can tell Claude. So I would say, I want to create a simple let's add simple, a simple waiting list website that I will host on Firebase. So this is the base of our request. Now we can just leave this to Claude and it'll probably come up with a solution, but you might want to add some more details. So for example, I am a content creator, so I do not have technical knowledge. Can I spell? Knowledge to edit or debug code. The solution should be non-technical friendly. I want the emails collected to be stored in a Google Sheet, because we can use Google Sheets, and Google Sheet obviously is on a drive, it's already on the internet, on the cloud. So your website is on the cloud, your Google Sheet is on the cloud, very easy for them to connect. But I will put the prompt in the description box. I'll put the prompt in the description box so that obviously you can just copy and paste, so you don't have to be bother typing. But now I just want to give a bit more context about what I want the website to do. So it's a waiting list website, but what is it waiting for? So the waiting list is for my match for my YouTube channel called AI with Mildred. So I've not yet decided what matches is, so it's fine. And then what are you can give Claude colors, so you can tell it my theme color is purple. I'm going to give this to Claude and let's see what Claude says. Oh wow. So it says, perfect. I have created your purple theme waitlist. Now let me give you the complete non-technical setup instructions. Now this is what I like about AI. It doesn't just give you the website. Now it's like, well, I've given you the website. Now step by step, this is how you are going to host your website. So I'm just reading through for you guys, just making sure all these steps are going to work. So I see there is a missing step here, but give me a minute. It did say that I'm jumping for it, but that's because I know what we're gonna need. It says that download your website files. I would say um, provide the website and how simple would that be? Um, because we don't want to do any complicated things. It has given us some code, but I'm like, what do I do with the code? I've looked at the steps, and the only step that has to do with the code is the step that says download your website files. So I'm gonna say provide the website files, and how simple would that be? And so now that I've asked it to provide the website files, you see that it's writing new code for me. Yay. It's writing a much simpler code. But it will end up being the same website. So perfect. Here's everything you need. It's now super simple. Yay, super simple is what we want. So there's 3 steps. Step 1 is to set up our Google Sheet. It will take us 2 minutes. And then there's obviously a couple of things to do when we set up the Google Sheets. And then step 2 is to download the website file. So we have to copy the code from the activate above, where this is the activate above. If I click on this sign, it shows me the code. So I have to copy the code, or you can actually download it as an HTML file, which will probably be simpler. And then it says open Notepad or text edit. Now this is just a text editor. I have decided to use VS Code editor just because I love VS Code. But if you didn't have VS Code, you could use Notepad or text edit. And then the reason why we need an editor is because we need to edit one of the lines in the code, and it's basically this line. And I think it's down here somewhere. Yep, that's it. Important, replace this URL with your Google Apps script. Okay. And so we have to download this code, save it as an HTML file, edit this particular line, and then that's step 2. And then step 3, we deploy to Firebase. Amazing. So now let's go to step 1. We might actually be able to finish this quickly. Step 1, go to sheets.google.com. Now, obviously, you can do that, or you can just go to your Google Drive, which is what I would do. So let's open a new tab. I'm gonna go to my Google Drive, and then I'm going to create, well, there's nothing in my Google Drive now. I'm gonna create a new folder called Match Website. Great. So now I have my new folder. I need to create a Google Sheet, and it's basically giving me a name for the Google Sheet. Obviously, you can name it anything, but it's called AI with Mildred Waitlist. So now, yeah, I don't need a tutorial. I'm gonna go into my new folder, and I'm gonna add a new Google Sheet. There we are. And I'm going to give it the title. It's now saved. I'm gonna close this tab so we have everything. And now let's go back to Claude. It says in type email timestamp. Okay, So in cell A1, we type email and we type timestamp. It is important that you use the exact names it has given you here, because these names are definitely used in the code. So the code, when it accesses your Google Sheet, will look for the column with the title email and the column with the title timestamp with almost the same exact spelling. So make sure whatever it gives you here, you put the exact same spelling, no typos. Otherwise, this will not work. Make sure of that. That's something to look out for. And then it says click extensions apps script. We had our Google Sheet, we already created that. And then what we had to do was click extensions on the menu and then click app script. And that basically opened up the app script. And so there's nothing in here. So I'm going to go back to Claude and see what it wants me to do. I'm just going to move this a little bit so I can get back easily. So now it says delete any code and paste this. So I'm going to basically copy this right here and then go here, delete this code, completely gone, and then paste it. Great. Now that we have pasted it, let's go back to Claude. It says click save, which is this icon, and then click deploy, new deployment, and then click the gear icon, choose web app, and then set who has access to anyone. Click deploy and copy the URL. Amazing. So we're going to click save and then click deploy. So save is this icon here, which is this icon. So now it's saved to drive. Now we're going to click deploy. When I click the arrow, I see new deployments, and so just new deployment. And then we're going to click the gear. Oh, we click it here, sorry. And then we're going to click web app, because that's what we were told to click, web app. And then who has access, we're going to change to anyone. And then description, we're going to call it the match waiting list. Simple as that. And then we're going to click. Let me just make sure I have followed all the instructions. So it says, yep, change the access to anyone. So everything else I can leave as it is. And then deploy. And then we wait. Amazing, it has deployed, and then it requires me to authorize access to my data. Don't be worried, this is just access to that particular spreadsheet, so you'll be fine. It says Google hasn't verified this app. I'm gonna do advance, and I'm gonna say continue, because I trust this developer, obviously, it's me. And it's trying to send myself an email, which is not necessary, so we're going to cancel that. Let's try this again. Well, this is what happens. You see, Claude didn't say anything that we had to authorize access. It just said it should work. I'm gonna go. That was it. I just had to go. So untitled project was access your Google account. You know, of course, give it access. So continue. Yay, that went through now. So if you do see this issue. This is how to solve it. Okay, now it says we should copy the URL. But knowing me, I'm gonna copy everything because I don't want to lose anything. So I'm gonna copy the deployment ID first, and I'm just gonna put it in my notes. And then now I'm gonna copy the URL and also put that in my notes. Amazing. So we don't lose anything. Now I'm gonna click done. And we are done with this part. Obviously you can rename the project. I will call it match waiting list because I'm not creative. Okay, now we are done with the Google Sheets side of things. Amazing. We pulled through even with all the hiccups. Now let's go back to Claude. We have the URL and then it says download your website file. So basically we want to copy this code into an HTML file. Luckily for us with Claude, it's quite smart. So when I go to copy, there's a drop down that says download as HTML. Yay! So I'm gonna click download as HTML. I need to name it index.html. This is because for every website, the file that's actually rendered is called index. So a lot, if you do get access to code that is, you know, publishing websites, you see that there's always an index.html. So I'm gonna choose my folder that I want to do this in. I created, you know, a whole folder, and I'm going to name this index. So just name it index. It's gonna save as an HTML file and then save. So that is done. So now that I have saved my HTML file, I have to open it and edit it. And what am I editing? I am basically editing this line here, which is const Google script URL is equal to your Google script URL here. And in the code, I scrolled into the code to find where it is. You can also just use Command F to find it, and it's right here. So now I have to open my HTML file, and this is where I like to use VS Code. Now we don't have to use VS Code. You can use any editor you want. As I said, you can use text edit and Mac. Will work absolutely fine. But if you plan to do this often, I would say download VS Code, and it's very easy to download. You just type VS Code and it comes install. VS Code install. The full meaning is Visual Studio Code. You click the first one is fine, and you'd see that it works on Windows, it works on Ubuntu, Red Hat, these are Linux, and it works on Mac. So you can just download. I have already downloaded it, so I'm not going to do it again. But when you download it, then you open it. So I'm going to open my VS Code. Now when you open VS Code, this is what it looks like. Just going to do this so you don't get distracted. This is what it looks like. So we need to basically open our HTML file. So what you do is you go to File, you go to Open. You can do Open Folder or Open. And then obviously navigate to where you saved your HTML file that we just downloaded from Claude, and then you're going to click Open. So now we have the HTML file, and you see it on the side panel here. So I'm just going to click it once, and clicking it once should open it. I'm going to close this window just so we have a lot of space. So now you have your index.html opened and you see your code. Now you don't need to understand the code. You don't need to even edit it. Once you like what Claude showed you, we are good to go. So now we have to find where we need to edit. So I'm going to go back to the browser. I need to charge my PC 1 minute. All right, I'm back. So according to Claude, we should find this line, Google script URL. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to VS Code or whatever code editor you're using. I'm going to do Command F because this is Mac. If you're on Windows, you do Control F, which is basically to find. I'm going to paste this and basically it's going to find where I'm supposed to do my edit. So I'm supposed to take this away and replace it with the URL that I saved. So I'm going to go copy the URL that I saved right here and replace it in the quotes. So you still need the quotes to be there. So we're just replacing what is inside the quotes. So I'm going to paste it. It's extremely long. And then I'm going to save it. In VS Code, you just press Command S or Control S if you're on Windows to save. If you're on another code editor, there's probably a menu where you can do edit and save. So just make sure you save it. So now that we have saved it, what is the next step? We've already saved that index.html, step ahead. Make sure the file is called. And then we move to step 3. We are almost there. We're going to have a website soon. So we're going to deploy to Firebase. So option A, if we don't want to do any sort of coding, which ideally we shouldn't, then we're going to do this. So let's do the no code stuff because we don't want to do coding today. So let's do the no code stuff. So first of all, we have to go to firebase.google.com. So if I just click this, I would say open link. Now you can take your time, go through it. I know they're talking about Gemini 3 Pro, whatever. We'll come back to that. But what you want to do when you come to Firebase and you see the homepage is go to the top, and on the right you click go to console. So Firebase console is where we want to go. So you click go to console. And that takes us to our Firebase console. Now this is a new account and I'm hoping this will also be new for you guys, so you've not used Firebase yet. So now you have to get started by setting up a project. So we're going to set up a project, and these are the instructions Claude also gave us, but once you come in you see how easy it is to do. So we're going to give a name to the project. So I'm going to call it AI with Mildred match waiting list. Oh, it's too long. So okay, I'm just gonna call it match waiting list. Let's keep it short. And then you have to click that you accept the terms. And you can join the Google Developer Program or you cannot, it's up to you. So I'm going to click continue, and it's going to ask me if I want to enable Gemini. I don't mind. We're using AI, so I'm going to enable it and continue. And then Google Analytics. Now it's good to enable Google Analytics for your programs, you can turn it off, but I would advise for a beginner, just leave it on. It's fine. You come back to it if you need to. Now you need to choose a location for your analytics. I would say always choose a location that is closest to your audience. You can change it later. Sometimes it doesn't really matter if you're on the western part of the world, you're in Europe or Americas, you could use America. So I'm going to leave it as the United States. The thing is, once you choose a location for a particular project, you cannot undo it. So once you pick the location, you cannot undo it. So choose wisely. But I'm going to leave it as United States and then create my project. And now we wait. And while we wait for the project to create, I'm going to go back to Claude and read the rest of the instructions. So it says, get started, add project, name it AI with Mildred. Well, I named it something else, which is fine. I should click through the setup. And then basically that's what we're doing. And then once we're done with the setup, we're gonna go and start to host the website, because that is what we want to do. And so Claude says on the left menu, click hosting, then click get started, then drag and drop your index.html file, and then click deploy. And then you get a live URL. So it says it's that simple. Let's see. So our Firebase project is waiting. So now Firebase is not completely free. So there is like a free plan to start with. So as soon as you create your first Firebase project, you are put on the free plan, which is called the Spark plan. Now you could upgrade yourself, but you can see the difference in the plans. So for the Spark plan, you have the full usage of all the no-cost services, but you can't use additional Google Cloud services, and you still get analytics and everything. So you never know what these services are till you have to use them. So for what I did was I started with a free plan, and then if I tried to use a feature and it told me, oh, you can't use this feature on the free plan, you need the upgraded plan, then I upgraded. But then you can also do the upgrade. I would say that even with the pay as you go plan, which is the upgrade, you still don't pay anything. I have created apps, softwares, websites on Firebase that up to today, I've not had to pay anything because I'm still using my free quota, and the free quota renews every month. So you'll be fine. All right. So we want to go to hosting. Now, as you can see, you can't really find hosting right away because you're like, where is the hosting? I'm just cleaning this up so that it's easy for us. Now the hosting is going to be here on the left side. So you're just going to drop down. So it says app hosting. Do not confuse app hosting with hosting. They're two different products, two different features. So we want hosting. So we click on hosting, and then basically brings us here. You can do a lot of reading on how to do this, but then we click on get started, and then it says that, you know, we should install. So it wants us to do basically the coding that we did not want to do. Let's see if there's another way out. I don't see any way out. So we can actually ask Claude, is there a way to not do hosting? To basically not do any code. So I'm gonna check. So I created the Firebase project and clicked hosting, but it showed it showed me step for the code option. So now let me ask Claude. You said I could do this without code. Well, so now Claude, it's saying, oh, my bad. Um, Firebase console does not have a direct drag and drop in the main interface. Here is the easiest way. So as you can see, we did have to do some coding, but that's absolutely fine. We can do this. So let's go back to Firebase. When I clicked hosting, it says install Firebase CLI. Now this is where we use the command prompt. If you've not used the command prompt before, it's what is called, I believe, terminal on Mac. On Windows, I think it's called system prompt or command prompt. It may have different names. On the Mac, it's called terminal. So you can click the terminal. If I click the terminal, this is what it looks like. But since I'm bougie and I already have VS Code, I can use the terminal directly on VS Code. This is why I love VS Code. So I'm not going to use this terminal. I'm going to use the one on VS Code. So I'm just going to scroll up a little bit to go back to the instructions for the code. I'm just having a look, keeping it in mind, just to make sure the one I'm following on Firebase is the same one. So it says to copy this command and run this command. So I've copied it. I'm going to go back to VS Code and I'm going to open the terminal. So to see your terminal in VS Code, you have to toggle the panel. So the last but one, this one shows the terminal. So basically, now we are on the terminal. It says terminal. So I copied it here. I copied the instructions. I'm going to paste it. And I've already installed Firebase 2 on my machine. So it's going to work. If you haven't done this before, it's possible that you wouldn't have npm on your machine. So you would have to install npm. But that's very easy. If you just Google it or you just ask Claude, how do I install npm? It's all done on the command prompt. So you basically be copying and pasting. So I've pasted it. Now I'm going to press enter. And because I have already done this before, I already installed npm, my machine is not going to ask me any questions. But if you do run into any trouble, just Google how to install npm and follow the instructions and then try this again. So we're gonna wait. It is done. We are done installing Firebase tools. So I'm gonna go back to Firebase and click next. And then it's gonna tell me you have to initialize your project by logging in. Now this is gonna be tricky for me because obviously I am using a different profile in my browser. So I'm gonna copy Firebase login and I'm just gonna make sure I'm logged into the correct profile. Otherwise this is not going to work. So this is the profile I want to log into. So I'm gonna go back to VS Code, paste the command. I'm just gonna increase this. Just clear it so that it's easy for you to see. Open Firebase login. And now it's gonna say enable Gemini in Firebase features. I'm gonna say yes. So I'm gonna put Y, enter. And then it says allow Firebase to collect CLI and yeah, just put yes, Y, enter. and then it's going to try to log me in. So I'm going to choose the profile I want. I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to click allow, and then it says successful login. So if I go back to VS Code, it should say success, logged in as AI with Mildred@gmail.com. Amazing. So now that we have done this, I'm going to clear again, and I'm going to go to the next step. So the next step is Firebase init, and init is just short for initialize. And if you do any kind of coding, you will come across the word init. We like init. So I've copied and pasted that into my terminal. I'm going to press enter. It's going to ask us for, there's going to be a couple of steps. So stay with me. The first one is we have to choose what feature we want to set up. Now we want hosting, which is this one. So we have to select hosting. Now, navigating in the terminal is a bit tricky, but we get instructions here. So we use the arrow keys up and down to navigate up and down. We use the space key to select. We can use the A key or the I key. We don't need that. And then we use the enter key to submit. So I want hosting, so I'm going to use the down arrow key to go all the way down to hosting. So now hosting is selected. And then I'm going to press the space bar to select hosting, and then I'm going to press enter. And so now it asks me, what do you want to use for your public directory? Now, it's the way Firebase works is usually, or if you're doing like more intense coding, there is a folder called public, some call it build, they name it differently, where what you want to publish to the internet is kept. But in this case, we don't want to do anything fancy. We want to use the folder that we already have. So we don't want a new folder or anything. So I'm going to put a full stop. So that full stop means that use the current directory that I am in. That's what it means. So I'm going to put full stop, and I'm going to press enter. Now it's going to ask me, do I want to configure a single page app, rewrite all my URLs to index.html? I'm going to say no. N is for no. Enter. And then it says, do you want to set up automatic builds with GitHub? We're not going to do any GitHub stuff today. Not at all. We just want our website. So I'm also going to press no. Enter. And then it's obviously created a 404 page, which is known as a not found. So if someone tries to click a link that does not exist, it will basically say we couldn't find this. And so it says an index.html file already exists. Do you want to overwrite it or not? Now we don't want to overwrite it because we've put our website that we've designed with Claude in the index.html. So no, we don't want to overwrite it. So put an N and enter. And now initialization complete. And now the next step, or the last step, according to the instructions, is Firebase deploy. So now we're going to deploy our website. This has taken us about an hour. We've basically created and deployed, launched a website in an hour. Lunchtime. We didn't have to do any coding. We had to edit like one line of the code. We did have to do some steps with Google Sheets and with Firebase, but that's the price for wanting to host your website for free. And even if you wanted to host a website, there are still steps even with the ones that you pay. So now it says project console is here, and this is our hosting URL. So this is where our website is. So if I press command and I click and I say just open, this should take us to our website. Let's give it a minute. We have our website, and moment of truth. We have our website It took us 1 hour to get here, and we only edited one line of code, and we are here. So amazing! Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like on the video. I mean, subscribe if you want to be doing things like this with one. Subscribe so that I can do more of this. I have my website, so you can share this website as you want, as it is. You don't have to change anything about it. You can just basically put this link in your YouTube, in your TikTok, whatever, and tell people sign up for my merch on this website. But now we need to test it and make sure that the emails are gonna be in our Google Sheet. So now I'm going to add an email. I'm just gonna use test email at email.com. This is just a dummy email. And then I'm gonna click join waitlist. And you see it even does join in. And then it says you are in. Join the waitlist, you are in. Pretty good website. So now let's go to the Google Sheet. And let's refresh it. I didn't even need to refresh it. I didn't need to refresh it. The email showed up. That is right here. And you've got your working website with a Google Sheet that will collect all your emails. Now, if you wanted to collect names, if you wanted to collect other things, obviously you can edit the website so that it collects other things, or you can tell Claude to update the code so that it can collect other things. But this is it. We are done. We are done. It took us 1 hour and 3 minutes with a couple of breaks. But we are done. We are done. You have a working website. Let me refresh this again. You have a working website. It's live. People can put an email. You can get an email in a website. Now, if we go back to Firebase, because now this is basically your friend, you see that when you come to hosting, you see where your releases are. So basically it says you released at this time, you released at this time, but then it also shows you where your website link is. So if you forget what your website link is, just come to Firebase to hosting. You see domains, and then this is basically the link to your website, or this one. Both of them will lead to your website. I'll say use this one because it doesn't have Firebase app in the name. And if you have your own domain, you can also add your own domain. You can buy your custom domain. Maybe you want, cheekmatch.com. You can go buy it, and you can actually add a custom domain. But I'm not going to do that in this video. But we are done. We have our website. It is working. And obviously, you just have to refresh it, and then it will start over again. So if you loved this video, and if this worked for you, let me know in the comment section. If you run into any peculiar issues, let me know in the comment sections, and I will answer them. I'll answer your questions. Like, subscribe, Also, I have a couple more ideas of, simple things like this that you can do with code and with AI to make your life easier. I have a couple of ideas, and if you have ideas, if you have things you want to learn, let me know in the comment section. And this is goodbye for now.